Dear friends, today we are going to discuss about drugs used in congestive heart failure. So, what is congestive heart failure? Congestive heart failure or heart failure is a condition in which the heart is unable to pump sufficient blood to meet the metabolic demand of the body and also unable to receive it back because every time after a systole. So, let's see. Heart is unable to pump sufficient blood to meet the metabolic demand of the body. That means heart is unable to supply the sufficient amount of blood to every parts of the body. Before going to discuss in detail, we should know the anatomy of the blood flow or anatomy of the heart. What we have studied in the first sem. Just recall how the blood flow through the heart or deoxygenated blood the return through the vena cava or the superior part of the body drains the deoxygenated blood in the superior vena cava. Similarly, inferior part of the blood drainage through inferior vena cava, through vena cava to right atrium to right ventricle to pulmonary artery to the lungs exchange through alveoli, then lungs to left atrium through pulmonary vein, then left atrium to left ventricle through tricuspid or bicuspid valve, or left ventricle is responsible to supply the blood throughout the body. That means the major problem in left atrium, which is supply, which is responsible to supply the whole parts of the body. So, see, point number 1, deoxygenated blood flow into the right atrium from the superior and inferior vena cava. Blood pick up the oxygen and discard the carbon dioxide in the lungs, and then goes through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium, and then the oxygenated blood forced from the left atrium into the left ventricle, from it pumped through the aorta into the rest of the body vessel. So we have already studied in the first sem the anatomy of the heart. Just recall in congestive heart failure, what are the parts responsible? Mainly in the preload, postload. That means then when the blood comes to the how much the blood comes to the ventricle, it unable to contract or unable to supply to the all parts of the body. And the see the definition. So it is a condition in which heart is unable to pump, unable to contract. It means myocardium region is responsible to contract, or the SA node or pacemaker is responsible for the generating pulses. We have already studied. So the heart is unable to pump sufficient blood to meet the metabolic demand. We know every parts of the body needs blood or oxygen. So it is unable to supply all parts of the body and unable to receive also. That means preload. When the heart is in relaxed state, 70% blood fills. So unable to receive. That means preload is not sufficient. So because every time after a systole or contraction, due to this reason, the blood is unable to fill or receive. So this is the definition of congestive heart failure. It is a condition in which heart is unable to pump or supply to the unable to supply to the all parts of the body, or unable to receive the sufficient amount of blood. This is all about your congestive heart failure or heart failure. Now comes to the how does heart failure? We have studied recently the increased workload to overcome pressure or volume overload. So there is a chances of heart failure due to increased overload or hypertrophy, thickening of the heart muscle. That means myocardial wall, the middle layer of the heart become thick and leads to cardiac dilation. That means the ventricle fails to eject or blood, the sufficient amount of blood unable to passes through the aorta. So leads to cardiac dilation, fails to eject its normal and diastolic volume. So this is the reason of heart failure or decreased cardiac output. Obviously, when the heart is not contract properly, the amount of blood comes out in every beat is not sufficient. It is going down or decreased. So that this is the region of heart failure. So the pharmacological targets, venous return, preload, afterload, or myocardial contractility and heart rates, salt and water retention. So what is venous return or preload? Let's see. The due to decreased cardiac output, or when the amount of blood comes out from the blood is less. That means the blood remains in the heart. The whole blood not comes out. So increased blood volume remains after contraction and increase the stretch of the myocardial layer or myocardial muscle fiber, which tries to increase the stroke volume in the normal heart. So, but in failed heartbeat, what happened? Did not respond. As the heart failure or saying increase the preload, increase venous pressure. That means contribute to system, contribute to the symptoms dyspnea due to increased venous pressure in lungs, hepatic enlargement and ascites, dependent edema. So what happened? In case of normal person, when cardiac output decrease, what happened? Na? Blood volume remain in the heart and the myocardial muscle fiber enlarged or stretched. But in case of congestive heart failure patient, what happened? Did not respond myocardial region or myocardial wall. So increase the preload or venous pressure gives symptoms or contribute symptoms dyspnea. That means increase the venous pressure in the lungs or hepatic enlargement or edema deposited in the peripheral cell and tissues. So it directly affects in the other parts of the body when the cardiac output decrease. So the amount of blood, again quick recap, what is preload? See the difference in case of normal person and one person is suffering congestive heart failure. In case of normal person, if the cardiac output decrease, what happens? The blood remains present within the ventricle. That means the middle layer of the heart, myocardium region, is stretched, and the remaining amount of blood present inside the ventricle. But in case of congestive heart failure patient, it is not possible. That means the myocardial region or fiber not stretched. As a result, it contribute or give symptoms to the other parts of the body, like to the lungs or liver or other parts of the tissue. So causes dyspnea or hepatic enlargement or edema. So this is the venous return or preload in case of congestive heart failure patient. So what happened in case of afterload? See, afterload is the resistance against which the heart must pump blood. Pulmonary resistance and systemic resistance, and increase the systemic resistance and decrease the cardiac output. As a result, due to decreased cardiac output, decrease the blood pressure, and activation of baroreceptor leads to sympathetic activation and increase the catecholamines. Due to decreased cardiac output, decrease the renal blood flow and activation of renin-angiotensin system. So which also contribute to the sympathetic activation, tries to increase the cardiac output, but chronic sympathetic activation leads to deleterious effect, further causing increase the burden on failed heart. So what happened in case of afterload? Afterload is the resistance against which the heart must pump blood. That means if the sufficient amount of blood does not comes out, or the normal amount of blood, how much amount of blood passes through the blood vessel or artery, is decreased, or the blood comes out from the blood, the amount of blood comes out from the ventricle is decreased, or cardiac output decreased. What happened in case of congestive heart failure patient? In case of congestive heart failure patient, due to decreased cardiac output, similarly blood pressure also decrease. Why? Now the amount of blood passes through the ventricle less due to less cardiac output. So the obviously blood pressure also going down. So decreased blood pressure, and as a result, see the activation of baroreceptor. Activation of baroreceptor, which leads to sympathetic activation. As a result, increase the catecholamine. As a result, increase the catecholamine. Similarly, another mechanism, when that means after load, when the cardiac output decrease, it activates the baroreceptor. We'll go through detail how baroreceptor maintain the blood pressure or how control the congestive heart failure. We'll go through detail. But see the mechanism. When the cardiac output decrease, baroreceptor activates. Similarly, when the cardiac output decrease means decrease the renal blood flow, means the supply of blood through the renal artery is decreased. So activation of renin-angiotensin system. So which also contributes the sympathetic activation and try to increase the cardiac output. But the chronic sympathetic activation leads to deleterious effect, further causing increase the burden on the failed heart. In case of congestive heart failure, it burden. This is the region of afterload. Or what happened in case of afterload in congestive heart failure patient. Now myocardial contractility or heart rate due to decreased cardiac output, decreased blood pressure. So activation of baroreceptor, what we have discussed earlier in case of afterload. Activation of sympathetic system activate beta 1 of the heart, beta 1 receptor of the heart. So which try to increase the force of contraction and heart rate. That means whatever the beta 1 receptor present in the myocardial region, it activates when the cardiac output decrease or blood pressure decrease. But chronic sympathetic activation leads to deleterious effect, further causing increased burden on failed heart. That means it is not possible in a continuous long term chronic sympathetic activation. Means for a certain period of time it is possible, but for a long term it is not possible. See, in the afterload also, for chronic sympathetic activation not possible. It is burden on the heart, failed heart. Too much pressure to maintain the cardiac output for a longer period of time. So this is your myocardial contractility and heart rate. See the salt and water retention due to cardiac output decrease in case of congestive heart failure patient, decrease the renal blood flow, we have discussed, increase the renin-angiotensin activation, renin-angiotensin aldosterone activation. So angiotensin, how angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2 we will discuss in the antihypertensive chapter. Sympathetic activation, aldosterone 81 receptor, so causes the salt and water retention via renal tubules. Both try to compensate the low cardiac output and low blood pressure. So but it can worsen the venous pressure preload, more fluid accumulation in the interstitial, and worsen the sign of heart failure. So this is the pharmacological target. So in case of congestive heart failure patient, what are the symptoms or what happened inside the heart? Venous return, preload, afterload, myocardial contractility, salt and water retention. So let's see the treatment strategy. So we increase the contraction or reduce the cardiac workload or to prolong the survival. So the therapeutic goal for congestive heart failure is to increase the cardiac output. All the problem starts from decrease the cardiac output. So we have to increase the cardiac output. So how cardiac output increase? To reduce the preload to reduce the afterload and to increase the myocardial contractility. So to increase force of contraction, what are the drugs we are using? Digoxin, beta agonist, by pyridines to reduce cardiac workload, to decrease the preload. Like what are the different drugs using? Vasodilator, not vasodilator, it is vasodilator. And diuretics, nitrates, these are the drugs used in preload or decrease the preload. To decrease the afterload, arterial vasodilation. To decrease the preload and afterload, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, like nitrate, sodium nitroprusside. So to prolong the survive, beta adrenoreceptor blocker. So these are the drugs we can target in case of congestive heart failure patient to increase the cardiac output, reduce preload, afterload, and increase myocardial contractility. So this is the treatment strategy. Now classification of drug used in congestive heart failure. First, inotropic drug, cardiac glycoside, digoxin, digitoxin, oaven, sympathetic drug, phosphodiesterase 3 inhibitor, diuretic, high-selling diuretic, thiazide-like diuretic, aldosterone antagonist, inhibitor of renin-angiotensin system, SE inhibitor, AT1 receptor, vasodilator, atriolar dilator, atriolar positive vasodilator, atriolar with vasodilator, beta adrenergic blocker, and others, metabolic cardioprotective, calcium sensitizer, and levocarnitine. So these are the drugs which helps in congestive heart failure patient. So diuretic we will discuss in the diuretic chapter in detail, how high-selling diuretic or thiazide diuretic helps in case of congestive heart failure patient, or the urinary system, drug used in urinary system or flow of urine increase. We will go through detail in the diuretic chapter. Or the angiotensin converting enzyme or aldosterone we will discuss in the antihypertensive drug. So in congestive heart failure mainly we will discuss digoxin. Only digoxin. See the mechanism of action. Diuretic, thiazide, loop diuretic, furosemide, SE inhibitor, angiotensin receptor blocker, then inotropic agent like digoxin, dobutamine, beta blocker, actin beta 1, carbidopa, metoprolol, then toxic level. These are the different types of drugs which increase the cardiac output. See the cardiac output versus congestive symptoms. So this is the normal human being cardiac output. See the graph. But in case of congestive heart failure patient, the cardiac output very low. So how the digoxin acts? See in the mechanism of action. This is the overall mechanism. Now, diuretic reduce the fluid volume and reduce preload and afterload. So this is the mechanism. How diuretic help in the congestive heart failure patient? Reduce the preload and afterload. As a result, increase the cardiac output. Similarly, SE inhibitor, angiotensin receptor blocker, beta adrenergic receptor blocker, aldosterone antagonist, vasodilator, digoxin. These are the reduce the synthesis of angiotensin 2, reduce the effect of angiotensin 2 receptor, prevent the remodeling, prevent arrhythmia, reduce the remodeling, reduce afterload and preload in case of vasodilator, and digoxin the direct cardiotonic effect. See the digoxin mechanism of action. How digoxin? There are two important mechanism or ion transport mechanism acts in case of digoxin. One is sodium potassium ATPase, another one sodium calcium exchanger. How sodium potassium ATPase work? It is a energy dependent transporter. It removes the 3 sodium from the cell in exchange of 2 potassium from the extracellular space. That means to see the figure. 3 sodium from inside to outside and 2 sodium potassium from outside to inside. It exchange with the help of sodium potassium ATPase. It is used as a transporter. Similarly, sodium calcium exchanger moves the 1 calcium outward in exchange of 3 sodium, which moves inward into the cell. 3 sodium and 1 calcium. So this is the sodium calcium exchanger. See the mechanism. Digoxin selectively bind to the extracellular cell membrane of the cardiac muscle cell and bind to the sodium potassium ATPase. The enzyme ATPase is inhibited by cardiac glycoside, resulting in progressive accumulation of intracellular sodium. So the increased intracellular sodium indirectly causes accumulation of intracellular calcium by inhibiting sodium calcium exchange. During the depolarization, calcium ion enter the cell through voltage sensitive calcium channel. This excess calcium is actively taken by sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum is released during the action potential. As a result, cardiac muscle contraction. So what is our aim? To increase the cardiac output. That means the muscle contraction increase. The rate of contraction increase. So how myocardium, the muscle layer, contract more? So see the when the calcium, that means with the help of calcium, so how calcium deposited inside the cell? Now when sodium is deposited or accumulate, see the increased intracellular sodium indirectly causes the accumulation of intracellular calcium. So when the accumulation of sodium is possible? Now when the exchange inhibit, the digoxin sodium potassium exchange inhibit. As a result, the enzyme ATPase is inhibited by digoxin. As a result, intracellular sodium is accumulated. So what is the process? Again see the mechanism. It is the exchange sodium potassium ATPase and sodium calcium exchanger. But when we are using digoxin, it inhibits the sodium potassium ATPase. That means 3 sodium from the cell it not exchanged. It deposited inside the cell. So when the sodium accumulated, it accumulated the calcium also, and as a result the rate of contraction increased. So this is the mechanism of action of digoxin. So now pharmacological action on heart, direct effect on the myocardial region, electrophysiological properties. Force of contraction increases. So a dose dependent increase the force of contraction in failing. The tone decrease the diastolic size of a failing ventricle, reduction in oxygen consumption. So heart rate decrease. So increase the vagal tone is due to improvement in circulation. Direct stimulation of vagal center, sensitize of SA node to acetylcholine. On blood vessel, mild vasoconstrictor in normal individual. When we are using digoxin in a normal individual, it vasoconstrictor effect. But in case of congestive heart failure, compensate by improvement of increase in cardiac output. No prominent action in the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. No contraindication in hypertension. So no significant action on coronary vessel. No contraindicated in patient with coronary artery disease. So on kidney diuresis due to improvement of circulation. So on central nervous system, high doses stimulates the chemoreceptor trigger zone and nausea and vomiting. Then pharmacokinetic, digoxin is administered by mouth or in urgent situation of IV doses. Adverse effect on heart, tachyarrhythmia. Then heart rate abnormally increased due to prolonged diuresis and digital therapy. GIT, nausea, vomiting, anorexia, CTZ, headache, blurring of vision, mental confusion, hyperkalemia, increased toxicity, and therapeutic uses to slow the ventricular rate in rapid persistent atrial fibrillation, or mainly used in the congestive heart failure patient which remains sympathetic despite optimal use of diuretics and angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor. So apart from this, question comes, short note, how digoxin correct the heart failure? So due to increase the force of contraction, as the digoxin act in the myocardial region, increase the cardiac output. As a result, the renal blood flow also increase, RBF. Relieve oliguria. Due to better tissue perfusion, relieve cyanosis. Due to blockage of AV node conducting tissue, slow ventricular rate. So relieve tachycardia. So stronger, slower heartbeat, increase efficiency without increased demand. And due to increased cardiac output, better emptying of the ventricle. So as a result, increase the venous return and better drainage from the tissue with relief of congestion in the lungs, liver, reduction in the edema, relief of dyspnea. Better results are obtained in patient with atrial fibrillation than with normal rhythm. So how help in case of congestive heart failure? So how digoxin help in case of congestive heart failure? Due to increased cardiac output, so relieve the renal blood flow or increase the renal blood flow. As a result, relief from oliguria and also increase the cardiac output, relief from the dyspnea, relief from the edema, relief from the liver. So this is the congestive heart failure patient relief from digoxin. Again, quick recap. What is congestive heart failure? So congestive heart failure is a condition in which unable to pump or supply the appropriate amount of blood to the all parts of the body, or unable to pump sufficient blood or contraction. So this is the congestive heart failure. So what is the pharmacological target? The preload, afterload, myocardial contractility, salt and water retention. What happened in preload? Due to decreased cardiac output. Due to decreased cardiac output, increase the volume of blood present in the ventricle. So the amount of blood present in the ventricle. So as a result, myocardial stress. But in case of congestive heart failure patient, what happened? It directly affected to the other organ like lungs, dyspnea, like liver, hepatomegaly, like cell tissue, edema, and similarly, in case of congestive heart failure patient in afterload, due to decreased cardiac output, decrease the blood pressure and activation of baroreceptor, and also activation of renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So this is the pharmacological target. Now treatment: to increase the force of contraction, to reduce the cardiac output, to prolong the survival. So different drugs are used, like classification of drug: inotropic drug like cardiac glycosides, digoxin, diuretic, angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitor, or vasodilator, or beta adrenergic. So these are the class of drug used in congestive heart failure patients. So what is the main mechanism? To reduce, to accumulate the sodium in case of digoxin. So how digoxin works? Now to accumulate the sodium inside the cell, or when the sodium accumulate inside the cell, it also accumulate the calcium. See the intracellular accumulation of intracellular calcium. Well, the increased intracellular sodium inside the cell, it accumulates the intracellular calcium. Why? Now because digoxin inhibits the sodium potassium ATPase. So the exchange not possible. But the sodium and potassium are exchange inhibited. Similarly, calcium and sodium in sodium calcium exchanger and sodium potassium ATPase. So it inhibit by digoxin. As a result, calcium accumulated inside the cell, or the excess calcium actively taken by sarcoplasmic reticulum, and the calcium from sarcoplasmic reticulum released during action potential for cardiac muscle contraction. As a result, when the cardiac output increase, increase the renal blood flow, increase the or empty the ventricle. As a result, increase the venous return and relief of dyspnea, relief of edema, and better result obtained in the patient with atrial fibrillation than the normal reading. So this is the congestive heart failure.